What's up, y'all? This is your girl, J. Renee, with Prison Ride Radio. I hope that you're doing well. This evening, we got a brother on the phone by the name of Etienne Moore. All right, he has a wrongful conviction. We're going to talk to him about his case, what led to his wrongful conviction, and then we're going to go a little farther, see what else is going on with him. So we're going to jump right in. Hey, brother, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, despite your circumstance?
Considering the circumstances, I'm doing well.
Okay.
Focused.
All right, so we're going to bring some light to what's going on with you. So we're going to jump right in it, okay?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
let's start with, tell the people a little bit about yourself and where you from.
All right, well, I'm from the San Fernando Valley. It's a suburb outside of Los Angeles County. I'm 48 years old. I just turned 48 in June. And I've been in prison for almost 28 years for a crime that I did not commit. And I've been sitting in prison the whole time.
Okay, so, 28 years is a long time, but to definitely be incarcerated for a crime you didn't commit for such a long time has an extra level of tension that has to come with it. How have you been able to stay motivated through such an extensive time?
Well, knowing that I didn't commit the crime, I've always felt like hope was something that was within my grasp. There's been a lot of ups and downs during that time, but I always felt like the truth would come out sooner or later. As time has progressed and the years have passed, the hope gets dimmer and dimmer, and they have other ways of trying to inject hope into the system. But they gave me life without the possibility of parole, which makes it worse, because in California prisons they're allowing guys that have a life sentence to go to board, but it doesn't apply to dudes with life without the possibility of parole. So it's been difficult to navigate that. Absolutely difficult.
I can imagine. So let's go ahead back to the beginning. I know that you said that everything first jumped off in 95, but you ended up fighting against this for 5 years in the county, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So can you tell us what led up to your arrest and how things unfolded?
Okay, so first thing, the crime actually happened in 1993. It was a spree of robberies that took place in the neighborhood that I was from, and it ended when I went to jail. I got arrested for attempted murder on a peace officer off duty.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
After the peace officer admitted that I didn't shoot him, but I only took his gun, I went to prison for 2 years. I took a deal after a mistrial and went to prison for 2 years. After I was released, a month and a half later, they rearrested me at home, saying that I was the perpetrator of murders that occurred in the Valley 2 years prior. And that's pretty much how I ended up in that situation.
Okay. So what were they basing this off of?
Initially, they were basing it on the fact that when the officer was shot, they used the ballistic evidence from the gun to link me to a bunch of people. Now, when they had interviews with a bunch of these people, then they all started pointing fingers, and they used the motto, be the first to get down, and a lot of these guys took deals and got immunity to testify against me or give a statement against me. That's how it started.
Okay, so it started from testimonies from people that had something to gain from information, regardless if it was true or not.
Absolutely. As well as jailhouse informants that I met during the process of being in the county jail and fighting the case.
Okay. So tell us about... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No eyewitness, no physical evidence, nothing that directly linked me to the crime other than the testimony and the statements given by people that were given immunity or had something to gain by it.
Okay. So let me ask you, why do you feel like, or is there a reason that you believe that you were targeted for this, or did you just happen to be the one?
Right. I think that the case with the off-duty officer was the start of it. They never were able to find a culprit for the person that shot him. He is alive, but an officer got shot, so they wanted somebody to pay the price for that. So they focused on me, and I believe that at that time I was the best candidate for them. my lifestyle, everything that led up to me being in that position was what they focused on.
Okay, it's like, oh, he has to be guilty. It wasn't like they even attempted to try. Okay. So I know you said that you were fighting, you were in county fighting for 5 years. What did that really entail, and what was the result of it?
So there were two co-defendants that for people that don't know, that means two other people that were attached to the crime were being sentenced or charged with similar crimes. So our attorneys had a lot of conflict. So when I tried to pause or I waived time, they wanted to go forward and proceed. And when they wanted to proceed, my attorney wanted to pause. So it was a long circuit of activities and court maneuvers that took roughly four years and a couple months before we were able to go to trial. And the trial lasted 5 months, in which they tried to get me to death penalty. The jury voted not to put me on death row, and I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in July of '99.
Okay. So, you have, when it comes to, not being where they're trying to place you, you had an alibi to where you were?
Well, there was two different, I guess you could say, two different dates that were attached to the crime, so it wasn't just one specific date.
Okay.
So for one of them, I had a really good alibi, and the other one was on a regular night, so there wasn't really anything happening that would have been able to,
to pinpoint you, like, this is what's going on. I could understand.
Right.
So when
it was 4 or 5 years after the crime, so it would have been difficult to figure out something in anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty fuzzy. And then technology was different back then as well.
Right.
We got a lot more cameras that are present, like, all over the place, so it was a little different then. So let me ask you about your legal representation. When it comes to, having an alibi for one of the occurrences, did it seem like they followed that lead? Did it seem like they put their best foot forward? Like, what was happening in the, in the court process of it all?
Okay, so I was given a state-appointed attorney, which is, I guess, supposed to be a step up from a public defender.
Okay.
He was able to hire an investigator, a lady named Carol Ng. She was decent, but I don't believe that they, exhausted all remedies in order to investigate the crime properly. There was a lot of things that I did remember about that time period that they weren't able to confirm. And later on, post-conviction, I was able to confirm some of those things on my own, and that's just a whole other story that we can get into later.
Okay, I understand. So, what's going on with you now? It's been an extended period of time. What have you been up to as far as fighting against this and trying to regain your freedom?
Okay, so post-conviction, one of the alleged jailhouse informants who I told you about earlier actually tried to recant, and he spoke to an investigator that a friend of mine was able to procure for me, and said that the prosecution offered him an opportunity to have sex with his girlfriend in exchange for certain testimonies. And he was able to meet up with my investigator and give him an interview. I've since presented that to an attorney, and the attorney guaranteed me through a contract that he would file a writ of habeas corpus on my behalf, and that was almost 7-8 years ago now, and he ran off with my family's money and has not filed the writ of habeas corpus up to this period of time, so I haven't been able to continue down the road of the appeal process.
Wow, that's outrageous.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And they've tried to reach out to him with no avail.
Right, so he basically told my family, like, if you have an issue, then take it up with the Bar Association. So that's what we're in the process of doing at this moment.
Okay. It seems like it's like all of these obstacles is coming into play that's taking up so much time. And so much time has already passed. So do things seem promising as far as going to the Bar Association?
We're still in the process of going through the paperwork part of it. we're, as you can tell, we're probably a little bit skeptical about hiring another attorney to take care of that process. So we're kind of going about it on our own.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where it kind of sits. The hope of trying to prove innocence. It's, you know, we're at the mercy of the people that can help us. So my family put together $50,000 and they tried to get this lawyer, and he ran off. So we're at a loss on both fronts.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man. That's absolutely disgusting behavior. A lot of other words too, but that's the most polite one to use. Are there any, do you have any petitions or anything that is up where people, like how the people can support you? And what do you need from us?
Nothing as of now. There's nothing up.
Okay.
Well, what I would ask for with people is just the awareness to see that this problem actually exists on a wide scale, and even to the point where you have a population of incarcerated people in California that are absolutely they are eligible to go to a program.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
After a certain amount of time. But that is something that has eluded me just based upon my sentencing structure. So I've been stuck in this position for a while. And that's something that we're trying to change through Senate bills and that kind of legislation. But it's very difficult. It's an uphill battle.